Julia Davis spent more than 60 years of her life educating the St. Louis public. Beyond her work as a teacher, Davis spent decades working with the St. Louis Public Library system to promote awareness of Black history and to increase access to resources on Black history. Additionally, Davis worked as an active member of the NAACP and the Association for Study of Negro Life and History, utilizing her roles in these organizations to further her efforts to educate and empower people of color. Her work and charitable donations led to the building of Julia Davis Branch Library in 1974, the first public library branch to be named after a living person. As an educator, activist, and philanthropist, Davis understood her rights and the rights of others to learn about Black history and embraced the responsibility of sharing what she learned with the people of St. Louis.
Julia Ann Davis was born in 1891 in St. Louis, Missouri to Thomas and Louisa Davis. When she was born, her family was living at 2825 South 11th Street. Her father had come to St. Louis from Oklahoma before it had become a state. He worked as a carpenter, but when he couldn't find carpentry work, he worked as a porter. Julia's father died in 1893 when Julia was just 2 years old. With her father's passing, Julia's mother, Louisa, became the primary supporter of the family. Julia's family, despite their struggles, managed to get through the tough early years. Julia attended school at Dumas Elementary, where she excelled from attending Sumner High School. When Julia attended high school at Sumner, the school was at its second building, located at the corners of Walnut and South 15th Street. But by the time she graduated, the school was working on plans to break ground on the building now standing at 4248 Cottage Avenue. By all accounts, she was an excellent student, and she recalled visits to the school by legends like explorer Matthew Henson, helping shape her pride in her school. After completing her studies, Julia Davis graduated from Charles Sumner High School with 52 other students. The graduation was held at the Century Theater on June 17, 1909. Even though she didn't go to high school on Cottage, she was able to attend Sumner Normal School for Teachers, which was later named Stowe College and located in the new Sumner building. Julia Davis would later return to Stowe and receive her bachelor's degree in 1937, in addition to attending State University of Iowa, where she received her master's in education in 1941.
When the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People was established in St. Louis, Julia Davis was one of its early members. Davis served as the organization's public communication chair. In 1915, she wrote the piece on display here, "The Paramount Thought, a Radical Article."
To be bound by heavy weights and chains could be no worse than having one's will. God's greatest gift to man with which to glorify him and bless mankind, blasted by unjust law. Unjust because it is made against his color, with his character may be spotless. Men of sound principle and sound judgment can but see that the proposed segregation is a curse, not a blessing, to ours or any city. Would that it were a segregation of right from wrong, not black from white.
In addition to being involved with the NAACP, Davis was also a member of the Prudence Crandall Club. It was a social club that Julia Davis was not only a part of, she was also the club's president in 1922. The club was named after Prudence Crandall, an educator and abolitionist that created the first integrated classroom in the United States. It represented Black women that were literate, educated, and interested in promoting the education of Black women.
Julia Davis began teaching at Phyllis Wheatley as early as 1915, as shown in the article published here. In 1917, Julia Davis resigned from Phyllis Wheatley to take a teacher position at Simmons School. This would be the last time she would change schools. At Simmons, Davis committed herself to ensuring her students had access to Black history. She would research, create informational packets and assignments, and require her students to complete them, exposing them to a history that was not included in their standard textbooks. To ensure Black history was accessible as possible, she even reached out to Carter G. Woodson for support. For Julia Davis, Access to Black history was a right all citizens, not just students, were entitled to. Because of this, Davis accepted the responsibility of doing what she could to educate the community, for creating slave auctions in the old courthouse to working with the YWCA on increasing interactions between races. Davis used every opportunity to shine a light on Black history for years. Davis created annual Black history exhibits that were on display at the St. Louis Public Library's central headquarters. These exhibits were announced in newspapers and brought increased traffic to the library every February. In 1952, Miss Davis joined Woodson's organization, the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, becoming a founding member of the St. Louis branch along with historian as St. Louis educator Herman Dreer.
On her 70th birthday, November 20, 1961, Julia Davis donated $2,500 to the St. Louis Public Library following her retirement from the St. Louis Public School System.
It was $2,500. In today's terms, about a $30,000 donation. The reason for the donation was to promote African American arts, history, culture at a time of disenfranchisement. The Julia Davis branch has a unique history in that we're the first library in the city of St. Louis named after a living person, Dr. Julia Davis. So in 1993, when we opened this location, Miss Julia Davis herself was here for the dedication. So we're very proud of that legacy, as well as the work Miss Julia Davis has done in the community for decades.
Julia Davis refused to allow retirement or later years to stop her or even slow her down. She continued to contribute to Black History Month programming and education in St. Louis through her work with the St. Louis Public Library, and by working with educators and radio outlets to shine more light on Black history. She continued to appear on radio even in her 90s, being interviewed while she continued to educate the public.
The 1987 theme is the Afro-American and the Constitution, colonial times to the present. The kit of materials for study you will find at the Central Library and at the Julia Davis Branch Library, 4666 Natural Bridge.
Her birthday served as fundraising opportunities, which she used to help raise $1,000 more for the Julia Davis Public Library. When Julia Davis passed away after living for more than a century, she left an enduring legacy. The teaching tree that stems from Julia Davis counts hundreds of educators, and they have in turn taught thousands. Her annual Black History exhibits at the St. Louis Public Library laid the foundation for ensuring Black History Month will be celebrated continuously in the St. Louis area up to the present day. Her books, artifacts, and writings continue to serve as a valuable source of information for patrons of the St. Louis Public Library, and her memory serves to inspire us all.
But you see, this is the thing that Dr. Woods has been working for since 1915. Let's understand now. We know who we are. All ethnic groups, even the Indians and all like that, they should be recognized as Americans. Yes. So I think if we do that and have an open mind and the right kind of a heart and the fellowship towards one another, I think we'll make it. Because we're going to have to make it together.
Well, we've made it...
See, it's an interracial and it's interdependent. That's the word that Mr. Desbog used to have us to say in geography. We are an interdependent nation. We can't exist all by ourselves. No man is allowed.